Greetings and welcome, people. Now I'm going to let you in on a little secret, but you've got to promise that it's just between us, okay? Understood? Cool. I'm playing hooky. It's not that I've got a full-time job, permanent employment, or even a part-time job or anything like that. I have got several things at home that I should be doing. When I look out at a day like this, and it's one of several this week and I've already missed a couple, I think no. I've got to get out on the bike. And a number of those things I should be doing actually involve this bike. Now, as I think I said in my last video, I haven't yet got round to installing the dual dash camera system on this bike. Somebody on a big BMW, fully dressed BMW behind me. I'm not sure if it's an unmarked police bike. I don't think so. I think it's an older bike. And yes, in the last video I said that I hadn't got round to it yet because when I started thinking about what I needed to do to get that system installed, I realised that there were a number of jobs left unfinished from, well, the last few years actually. So I was thinking to myself this morning to get out and start working on those things on the bike, but of course if I do that, that means the bike is out of commission. And it's a nice day today, so I thought they could wait. Basically, to install that camera system, it requires work from, as I said, from the front to the back of the bike. Basically removing various parts and panels to gain access to different bits, all of which are where the wiring and fittings for the camera system are going to be. So it's a little shopping list of jobs that I need to do, among which are the wires for the heated grips. So as much as I like this Data Tool heated grip system, it's very nice, it's very discreet, works really well. They did provide an awful lot of cable with it, and it's modular cabling in the sense that you plug various bits together. It doesn't all come as a single loom, but it's not modular in the sense that you can work without various bits. You have to use all the wiring that's provided. And at the moment, most of that wiring is gathered up in the front end here, just in front of the headstock. And sometimes I worry that it's getting in the way, it's getting bound up in the forks and headstock as I'm turning the handlebars. So what I'm going to try and do when I've got under there is I'm going to try and pull all the excess wiring through to just behind the tank and stow it there, so that all that's at the front is only what's needed to connect the hand grips. And while I'm under there, you might be able to see this down there by the fairing stay, and there's one on the other side, a USB port. Now I don't like those there. I think they look silly, they don't stay in place, and it just means the wiring underneath the front fairing is even more messy. So I'm going to remove those USB ports, and I'm going to go for a socket that fits into the fairing panel on the right hand side, and that should tidy that wiring up as well. And I'm also thinking about installing a voltmeter on that panel, just to keep an eye on things. And another job is the throttle cable. There's a little bit too much free play in the throttle. Now I've used as much of the adjustment as I can safely do at the handlebar end, and it's still a bit too much, so obviously either the cable is stretched or the adjustment at the carburetor end has come loose. So what I've got to do on this particular bike is actually, because you can't actually get to the cable adjustment of the carburetor end, it's tucked in between the two middle carburetors, I think, or at least the third and fourth carburetor. You can't get to it easily. Have to take the airbox off and use very small tools to gain access to adjust and tighten things down there, down that end. So that's a little job. Also needs doing. So while I was out, I thought I'd relay that little bit of forward planning I've done for what I need to do. So maybe I'll get on to that tomorrow. Try and video it, but there's so much of it, it may not be worth putting up one video. I may have to cut it into chunks, and to be honest, some of it may not even be of interest. So we'll see how it goes. I'll probably record it anyway, or at least parts of it, and see what we can do with that. Whoop-a-daisy. Now, am I going that way? I'm going that way, I think. Yes. Behind the gravel. Whoop. I thought I'd go back to a couple of recent videos I did. I realised after I'd edited them and put them up that I missed a couple of points that I wanted to make. The video about 4 videos back, I think, where I talked about Calm Biker's video about his video, and other people have made the same comments on the same subject of basically the risk that motorcyclists take when they're out riding. One of the points that Calm Biker made was that, and I've heard this statistic trotted out before, but I don't know the exact figures. I should have looked it up before I came out on the ride, so maybe I'll put them in the description or on the caption on the screen. That motorcyclists make up a very small percentage of the road-going motorised population, but we make up a disproportionately large proportion of the casualties on the road, both fatalities and injuries. And to a degree you kind of expect that, because obviously we're not protected by 1.5 tons, 2 tons of metal with airbags and seatbelts and all that good stuff, crumple zones and things. We are the crumple zone. But the thing I always think about when I hear that point made is that, I can't remember who said it now, was it Henry Ford or somebody else? Lies, damn lies, and statistics. You can support pretty much any point with the same statistics, depending on how you present them and how you juggle them, shall we say, what spin you put on them. And while I'm not arguing about the number of casualties amongst motorcyclists compared to other motorised road users, the point I would make is that even if we are, as a percentage, a greater, out of all relation to our percentage of the motoring population, if we are a greater percentage of casualties and fatalities, we are still a much smaller number of casualties and fatalities, taken as just a number, not a percentage. So if people are serious about saying, oh, we need to stop people riding motorbikes to reduce casualties and deaths on the road, surely you'd have a much greater effect on reducing injury and death on the road if you banned cars and bicycles and stopped pedestrians crossing the road. Yeah, I can put my side stand down without dropping the bike. Yeah, I think so. Oh, this is very nice. And one of my other vlogs, I think it was the last one, I talked about a fly on the wall documentary series, Helicopter ER, and I mentioned that any time, well not any time, but a lot of times when there's been an accident involving a motorcyclist, they'll obviously go to the motorcyclist, the accident, and start treating them. But then when they do the camera bits in the studio or back in their office or base or even in the helicopter, you always get this undertone of disapproval. There's always this feeling that, like I said in my last video, that they're wagging their finger saying, you really must stop riding motorcycles, they're dangerous. And as I said in my last one, again, riding motorcycles is not dangerous. Being involved in an accident while riding a motorcycle is a lot more dangerous for the motorcyclist than for the car user, if there is another vehicle involved. And I happened to watch this week's episode, And lo and behold, there was an incident involving a motorcyclist, quite a bad one actually. A car pulled out in front of him. It was a situation like this. He was coming around a bend and there was a side road or something, and the car just started to emerge, obviously not realising there was a bike coming around the bend. But yeah, so he was quite badly hurt. And then there was another item where a woman had been thrown from a horse, and as it turned out, when they got her to the hospital, she'd actually fractured her pelvis in 2 places. So again, quite badly injured. But while the air ambulance crew were on scene treating her, getting her ready to load up into the ambulance, one of the doctors, right out in the open, said, "I've been to lots of these, and I think most," to paraphrase it, if you've got Sky, you can watch it on catch-up TV or whatever. I've been to a lot of these, or I've seen lots of these, and I think motorbikes and horse riding should be banned. The whole lot of it. Just stop it. Just stop the whole lot. And, you know, I just wonder, when he goes to an incident involving a car driver, I mean, he must surely go to a lot more of those. Does he say to the car driver, well, actually, I think all cars should be banned? No, of course he doesn't. It's not their place to be judgmental about the activity that you were participating in when the incident occurred. They are there to treat your injuries as best they can, get you stretchered up into the aircraft, or in the ambulance and on your way to hospital. They're not there to try and guilt you out about what you were doing when you had the accident. So it is a bit annoying that there seems to be this inbuilt prejudice against motorbikes. If you don't want to ride one, don't ride one. But please don't be judgmental towards me and other people who choose to ride one for whatever reason, because it's not your place. Provided we behave ourselves and ride within the law as much as possible, not saying that we do all the time, but then not many road users stick to the limits or drive perfectly all the time anyway. So don't be more condemning of motorcyclists just because they're riding a motorcycle. Right, that turned into a little bit of a rant there, didn't it? Ranting while riding my motorcycle on a beautiful sunny day. Oh well. I expect my wife's going to be on the phone to me in a moment. On my Bluetooth hands-free headset. Oop. Excuse me. So why So yes, thank you for taking a look, and I'll speak to you again soon. Cheerio for now. Bye.